Our Testament Aleph, we got up to Tanur Bzaka, slightly above the middle of the page. Tanur Bzaka Kamed Rav Yochanan Bein Lechayim V'Tachas Sakura Nidon Kekarmelis. So Rav Zakai learned a brisa in front of Rabbi Yochanan saying that.
I think we stopped to Rashi short. We ran out of time, right?
Oh, it could be. Okay, so let's see where that is. Okay, that's referring to these pegs that were holding the lechi. So vikul meimar lovid mirosha kora. Lovid mirosha kora. Then you say lovid from the top of the beam, from the tops of the beams, I guess till the wall. Uluksalim, right? From the top of the beams to the wall, you have lovet connecting the wall. I guess going straight up or bringing the korah down. Either way, through lovet you're connecting them.
Maybe Roshé is the ends.
That was the L.
Maybe Roshé means the ends.
Well, yeah, okay. What I said, the tops. I mean, right, because you have to bring it down to the wall, so it's the
bring it across to the wall. Lavud would be, I think, because the way we're saying lavud is a cross, and what was the other one? Tefuah? I'm mispronouncing it. Is chavod? Sorry, is up and down. Right.
Okay. So okay, I hear you. Viklamema lavud merashi hakor ulik solim, because now you've got to get those beams connected to the walls. So that's going to be going, as Ephraim said, sideways. Okay, there is not from the pegs going upwards to the going above the walls to the beam. You don't have a height of 3 tfachim that would negate the lavud process. Because had there been more than 3, have a mifsla. Okay, it would have been possible. The korah al gabik salam bi'inon. If you need the korah to be on top of the walls, and it would be too far away for lovet to work. Now it sounds like he's talking about the up and down issue. Okay, and you need them to be on top of the walls, and if they're not on top of the walls, you would not. It would not be kosher. So it definitely sounds like the concept of chavot that's being used here is, another reason why it's called chavot is because it's going up, down, as opposed to sideways. But at the end of the day, Rashi is clearly limiting it to 3 tfachim. So, I think, the verdict's out. I don't think it's limited to 3 tfachim in other areas, but here, because it's essentially lavud, but we're calling it chavot because of the up and down. So the basic havmina was, maybe I wouldn't go both up and down and sideways in the same lavud situation. The answer is you do, and therefore you are good to go. Lavud lashon snif laharach. Lavud is just, it's a word like a extension to make something longer, and that's lavud. Okay, so we learned that earlier as well. Okay, so basically you're doing both. You're bringing them down and you're bringing it across, and I guess, at the end of the day, how are you extending? In other words, it sounds like Rashi still holds you need the korah to be on top of the walls. So I guess lavud is, if you're bringing it down slightly above the wall, you still can use lavud, even though lavud normally connects to existing things. But here, even if it's not really, there's nothing really on top of that wall, unless there's this slight peg, right? In other words, what's bothering me is when you connect it, when you go sideways to try to get them on top of the wall, where's the lavud that connects you to the thing on the other side of it? Unless you simply say you have a right to extend any item onwards up to 3 tfachim, and if you extend it as it's above the wall, then you get it's above the wall. You see my issue?
Not yet.
This picture here.
No, how do you get the thing above the wall?
Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't think. Wait, 1 second. Yeah, it is the thing we're talking about. Actually, yes. So I'm just saying, in other words, if you bring this down, if you want it to be, Rashi seems to make the point again that it's got to be al gabik solim, which means you have to have the beam touching, or at least conceptually being on top of the wall. I'm just curious, that means you have to really use lavud when before it hits the actual wall. If it hits the actual wall, and that's what you're connecting.
Is it on pegs? Is that the problem here? It's on
Well,
pegs.
no, I mean,
So
the peg just allows you to. Yeah, there it is. But
Which one is
The one
it?
on top.
I think that the on top of the, it's not that you has to be on top of the wall. That's the way it is. But the problem is that if you want to do lavud, you do lavud theoretically to the side, but to the side there's no ksalim there. So you need chavut. You need chavut to bring it down.
so how much you bringing it down?
You're bringing it down.
That's my point.
Oh, you're bringing it
But
down,
it's
so
not
that's
going over the
that's
wall.
that's right in between the ksalim. So if you go then straight.
But if it's in between the ksalim, then it's an al gabik solim. Rashi seems to make the point.
I'm sorry. When you chavut gives you a virtual bringing it down, not an
Do
actual.
it virtual all you want, but at the point when you're going sideways, and
If you go, so if you go sideways, there's no lava. There's nothing. There's open air. There's nothing there.
how I'm saying, so where do you
So
see?
you stuff on a coat
Where, well, no. Where do you see the Korah on top of the walls?
It's above the wall.
But it's got to be on top of the wall. Al
It's
gabik
above-
solim.
It's above the height of the wall, but it's
Right.
not necessarily directly.
But
on
what
top.
about the rule al gabik solim? Al gabik solim doesn't mean it has to be higher. It has to be in theoretically resting on the wall. Remember we spoke about the case was in the middle, and that's not good
I thought
enough.
it was al gabi mavui, because in this case we said that.
Al gabi mavi means al gabik solim, right?
Well,
What does that mean?
In this case, we said that it worked, right? So that if it's
Okay,
if it's suspended and then Lovewood works and then it touches the
Okay.
Ksalim.
Yeah, I hear. I'm not sure how that's
You
called.
So and we had this one also where we had like on top of the wall.
Oh, so that- well, on top of the wall, that gets-
on that
yes.
side, but not on this side.
Okay. So it's part of the same problem. In other words, this is al gabi kos l'chor. This is l'chor not al gabi solim.
Right.
So why would that be good? And again, Rashi brings it back again. Okay,
But we had something where it had to be
The
actually on
problem
top of the
you're
wall,
having-
or it had to be on top of the mavoi.
I thought al gabi solim. Solim sounds like walls, right? That's Rashi again uses the same lashon.
Well, he's just saying where it is. Not that's what you have to do.
Well, the Korah al gabi solim be'inon. Sounds like it's on the wall.
Well, that's what I was saying the other day with like those tension rods. Like, would that be?
I don't know.
It
In
could be so
other words,
tight that it would just
right. So I'm
fit
saying
in.
maybe what Rashi's saying is maybe you don't need another physical thing to say love. Maybe love just means you can extend it. And once you extend it and then you drop it, it drops on top of the wall. Because if you can extend the beam theoretically 2.9 tfachim, right, which l'chor lovad has a right to do, or do you say that you need another physical entity to be there to connect to lovad? So, okay, it's maybe as we go on, this stuff will become clarified.
So we're saying that Lovewood would mean that that it actually doesn't have to touch the side of the Ksalim, but rather
right.
it can extend past.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah,
Okay.
right. That's my. Okay, fine. So we're now ready for the new Gemara. Now that we sufficiently confused everyone here. Okay, Poik Tani Lebro. I'm sorry. Tani Reb Zakkai Kamed of Yochanan Ben Lechayim V'Tachazakor Nidin Kekarmelis. So Reb Zakkai, this is still on an issue that we've been dealing with here. He learned the brisa from Rabbi Yochanan, and the brisa said that the area between the lechis and the area underneath the beam is nidon kekarmelis, meaning you cannot carry there. Right? Can you carry the karmelis? We already learned you can't. That's already from our Shabbos days. Okay. So you can't carry underneath the Korah, which is very familiar, right? Because we had a machlokes, but he's paski, he can't. And bein lechayim is aser, which is also, that was universal. We had said before that pretty much everyone agreed that the between the lechis it's so small that it will not work. You cannot carry in that area. Okay, so Amalei, Rabbi Yochanan responded in a very, very, I'm not happy fashion. Paik tani lebra. Take this outside, please. Don't bring this into the base of Medrash. This has no business in a sophisticated place of learning. Basically telling him that's not a valid brisa. Amar Abaye says, Mistavra Milsa Rabbi Yochanan Tachas Zakora. It makes sense that Rabbi Yochanan's objection to the brisa that he said take it outside and learn it outside because don't bring it into the base medrash is only regarding the issue of underneath the beam. That underneath the beam, Rabbi Yochanan was saying it is mutter to carry. And we already know the lumdus. We already have a number of possible lumduses why it's mutter to carry underneath the beam. Aval bein lechayim aser, but between the lechis it's tak aser. Rava Amar, Rava says, I disagree with you. Bein l'chaim nami mutter. That Rabbi Yochanan's objection was not just about the Korah, but he actually holds that you can actually carry in between the l'chaim as well. Now, again, it doesn't mean there are two lechis. It means the l'chaim, the universal the lechi that is used all over. As Rashi already told us before, that's the same type of l'chaim we're talking about over here. Okay, so what sounds like we have a machlokas of Abaye Rava. Everyone agrees that Rabbi Yochanan held you could carry underneath the beam, but they're arguing about whether or not you can carry in the area covered by the lechi. That small, sometimes minuscule area of the lechi, can you carry there as well? And that seems to be the issue. Rava is saying you could, and Abaye is saying no way. Okay, let's take a look at Rashi. Mistavra nidan kekarmelis. We also talta sham. So the statement was that it's judged as a karmelis, and as a result, it is usher to go and carry there. Usher to carry there. Mistavra milsa Rabbi Yochanan says Abaye Amar paik tani lebra. When he said go take it outside and learn this outside, ela mutaru. Meaning that I don't agree that it's usher, I hold it's mutter atachas korah kamalei. Abaye's argument is it's only about the area underneath the korah that he is objecting to. The ksava chuda achiton yervisose, because he holds the outer flat part is what comes down. And if the outer part of the beam comes down, you can carry all the way up to the beam. Right, it's that imaginary wall that's created. So what you can go all the way up to the end of the beam, and you're good to go. So underneath the beam is fine. In a case where there is no beam and there's only lechi posts, moded aser, he will readily agree that it's aser, and in that regard, the brayso was perfectly legit. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go weiter. Back to the Gemara. So, while Abaye disagrees with Rava now comes to defend himself. So, Amar Rav Minamin Allah. How do I know that Rabbi Yochanan uniquely hold, because this is not what we had been assuming earlier, Rabbi Yochanan hold that you can carry bein l'chaim. How do I know that? The chiyasar of Dimi Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Dimi became, he said, name Rabbi Yochanan, Mokum she'en bo yarba al arba, mutal uvnei rishus rabim, uvnei rishus yachla kasei falav. If you have an area which is not 4x4, okay, we had this back in Shabbos. If you have an area less than 4x4, the people of Rishus Rabim and the people of Rishus Yochid are allowed to use that area, which is conventionally called a Mokum Petur. Is that what he said? Yeah, very good. Okay, there you have it, number 99. Right? So that little, it's its own little world. Okay, it's less than 4x4, and it's okay. So there, it's raised off the ground. What we're talking about is a situation where it's all the way down to the ground, right? Because you have those broken dots, which sort of reflects the same situation there. So
broken dots are also Patur?
Well, that's what Rav is trying to promote right now. That just like you can rest.
That person sitting in the Rishus Rabbi.
But he's not carrying anything.
Yes, he is. He got that
Got a
sack.
sack.
But the sack is resting on the wall.
The sack is resting. Well, I don't know. He's got his hand on it.
I mean, so what are you asking?
Well, because
What's he doing with?
I thought the whole point of this was he should be in between those dotted lines.
Yeah.
So the question is whether he can, because you got the Rishusa Rabbi where he is, and the Rishusa Yachid is on the other side. He's in the Rishusa Rabbi, and there's no part of him.
I think he's
Okay.
fried.
Being at that Lechi.
Okay.
He has to fry this guy.
Well, again, it may be before he was, if he was carrying it, maybe he would.
Maybe
But if he
turned
just
around.
walked out of Rishus Yachid and he needs to rest, okay, and he wants to rest on the.
Right, but our case here is you're between those two dotted lines. The question is, can I carry between those two dotted lines? Not can I carry the other
Well,
side
that's
of
where the
it.
lechi is, but the halacha but the halacha of Rav Dimi has nothing to do with a lechi. Rav Dimi's halacha was if you have it in an area in resting in Rishus Rabbim or right on the border of Rishus Rabbim and Rishus Yachid, then that area is an independent makom patur. That if you want to rest your stuff there, you can put your stuff there. Nothing to do. Forget that's Rav is adapting that concept to the lechi concept. Okay.
But is that diagram is he supposed to appear in Rosh Hashanah the way he does
He is
in
in
Mishnah,
Rosh
or is he
Hashanah.
supposed
Well,
to
that, yeah, I
appear
mean
in
that's a tough
between the
picture
dots?
because what's he going to do with that sack? The minute
Right.
he
So I mean, is he supposed to be in between the? I mean, how are we supposed to? Are we supposed to be
What?
looking at that as if?
yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's
Is he supposed to be between the dots, or is he
He's
supposed
not
to be?
fighting.
it doesn't matter. That wall, that area less than 3 by 3, less than 4 by 4 tfachim, and 3 tfachim high is considered a makom patur. When it's more than 3 tfachim and less than 4 by 4, it's a makom patur. If you see, for example, if you're walking in Wilshire Boulevard and all of a sudden, I don't know, you want to put something on a fire hydrant. If a fire hydrant is a makom patur, you can put something on a fire hydrant. It's a makom patur. You didn't make a halacha.
All the dotted line, all that really is irrelevant. You got a makom patur and the guy sitting on the makom patur.
Well, again,
It's in
let's
the middle of the street.
not get
Exactly.
Again, we have two different statements. Again, Rava said, "How do I know that you can carry between the lechis?" Because from Rav Dimi's halacha, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, who's the man we're focused upon right now, he says, "Mokum she'embo." So forget lechi right now. This is Shabbos, not Eruvin. Mokum she'embo arba arba mutav neivshus ramav neivshus yachol kosef alav. A place like that. Both, if it's close enough to Rishus Yachid, they can rest their stuff on it. If it's close enough to Rishus Rabbim, they can rest their stuff on it. If it's close enough to both, then they can both rest their stuff on it. Ubilvad. Okay, let's finish the sentence. Ubilvad she'achlifu. As long as they don't use it as a shtick game to go to the other side, because then what you're doing it as a method to get from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabbim with that sack. And that's what you cannot do. That's really the picture of what you can't do. Because if he started with that sack in Rishus Hayachid, now he wants to move it over to Rishus Rabbim and move it a few tvachim, that you cannot do.
That makes sense.
What?
Yes, because right.
Yeah, because if he does that, he's dead. He's
Right.
fried.
Correct. If there are witnesses, and yes, and I mean, you want to get guys today, Gary. I see you're in a frying mood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Guilty until proven innocent.
okay, fine. I hear you. The Abaye. What about Abaye? So 1 second. So what Rav is saying is just like that's a makom patur, the place between the lechi is a makom patur, and now we can get to the dotted lines. That area between the dotted lines is less than 4 by 4, and even though it goes all the way down to the ground, he wants to argue that it's a makom patur, and therefore carrying in the makom patur be permissible. To which Abai comes back and says, "Sorry, Rava, you missed one little point." Amra Abai, 1 second. You missed one little point, Rava. You only can make a makom patur if it's 3 tvachim high, and it's separate, distinct from the area that it's on. Okay, and then it takes on its own identity. But here, when the lechi is just basically a side post, and the area is mamish on, and what you want to carry is flat to the ground, that you don't have any right to carry. Okay, let's take a look at Rashi. Mokum shemadal al dalid v'yayme b'im rishus rab rishus yachid, and it stands between rishus yachid and rishus rabim. Hayul v'leka mokum chashuv, since it's not considered a distinct, significant place. Laver shus b'ambei nafshu, it's not an independent domain. Ubatel lahachulacha. Okay, and it's sort of bottled to each one. Vainu mokum patur, and that is a mokum patur. Interesting way Rashi says it. I mean, you wouldn't think it's bottled, because I'm bottled and I just become you. But here, I guess I can't become both. So what am I? I am a uniquely just irrelevant sort of place, which means if I put anything down on that place, that's fine, because you didn't put it on anything significant. Okay, so you're allowed to look love masos. You could put your bundles there to rest. Uvat shleachlifu. The lo lemru, the kama'ayil mishus ram mishus yachid. Okay, that you won't come to say that this guy's going from mishus ram to mishus yachid. Also, Mishrael tzah b'Shabbos, and people again looking will make a mistake and say, "Oh, you see, the guy started in mishus yachid, ended in mishus ram. It's mutter. You can go from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabbim. Very people are prone to make mistakes in this area. Uvein l'chaim nami, and therefore Rava extrapolates that between the lechis as well. Afilu chashaft le'makom b'fnei atzma, even though if you want to consider it its own domain and not part of the mavui, right? That's the whole issue. Is it its own domain or is it part of the mavui? And the answer is it's part of the, even if it's its own domain, but the lacha v'shari. So it becomes independently nullified. Either way you go, it's not you, it's not the other side, in which case it's itself, and by itself it's a makam patur, and therefore it's okay. Which Abai says, sorry, no, it's not. It doesn't work that way. In order to be a makam patur, you need begoy v'shleisha. The minkra, it has to be recognizable. It's got to protrude up away from the ground like a fire hydrant that you clearly know you're hitting up against it, and it's a distinct situation. Avbein lechayim, but the area between the lechis, okay, delay minkra dochta, okay, where it's not recognized, you don't see a unique, distinct place. You don't see that little wall there that you see what it is. It's just simply the dotted lines, which is a continuation of the open mavli. He says, Isharis l'taltel hasam, if you're going to allow a person to carry between the lechis, lahachlif l'shus rab. You're clearly going to make a mistake, and people are going to look at that and say, if you can carry there, you can carry it into Rishus Rabim already, and people will be going from the mavi to the Rishus Rabim, which would be devastating. So we don't want any of that to happen, and therefore Abaye maintains his position strongly that Rabbi Yochanan agreed to the brisa asering between the lechis. He just didn't agree with the brisa asering under the korah. That's why he said go take this brisa out. But Rabbi said no. He said to take this brisa outside for two reasons. Because I don't like the iser tachas korah, and I don't like the iser between the lechis either. So our machlokes between Abaye and Rav is still solidly entrenched. Let's keep going. Okay, Amar Abaye. Abaye is gonna. It's Abaye's turn to make the argument. How do I know that I'm right? That Rabbi Yochanan held the area between the lechis is actually usher to carry. This is now the name of Rav, who Rabbi Yochanan logically would agree with, unless there was reason to not agree. Rav Chavar Barguria says the name of Rav. Teicha Pesach tzorch lechi achelatiro. If you have the area between the doorway or the opening of a mavi, like we have right here in number 100, if you're following Pirush Chai, okay, so does this mavi need, okay, ignore that lachi for a second, just look at the mavi itself and the shape of the mavi, right? Do you need anything more to be done to carry that mavi? Not, because you got two power-packed lechis by the extension of those front walls into the mavi. They can serve as the ultimate lechi, right?
Right,
so,
you know where it ends.
What?
You know where the mavi ends.
You know where the mavi ends. You've got two, right? You've got double the power. I only need one side. Here I'm surrounded from both sides, and it's good to go. But what happens if you want to carry all the way up to the Rishus Rabim, and you have that nice little area, right, where the arrows are? You see the aleph? Okay? That's where the pointer would have helped, right? Okay, but that aleph, you see the aleph there. If I were to carry in the aleph, says Rav, you got to put up another lechi to carry in the aleph. Because if I didn't have, because clearly what does Rav hold? L'chayra. What he's holding is, without that lechi, the area between the lechis is usher to carry. So the fact that he needs another lechi, now you see that post there, right? You see that little post with the lechi underneath it, the word lechi underneath it. That post allows you to carry up until the post. Okay, but the fact that you need the post to carry up until the post is a raya that you typically cannot carry between lechis. So it sounds like Rav is unequivocally agreeing with what we said earlier and what Abaye is saying now, that between the lechis is usher. Okay? You don't like it, Gary. Something's wrong.
I just want to make sure I understand. So if you have that extra lechi in that, what is that called, the makam patur? Is that what?
Well, I mean that's basically telling Rava you're wrong. It's not a makam patur. If it was a makam patur, then you wouldn't need a lechi to carry in the makam patur.
You what?
You wouldn't need a lechi to carry in the makam patur if you held that it was a makam patur. So basically, Abaye is telling Rava, I'm proving to you that the fact that Rav needed a lechi to allow you to carry in that area, in the Aleph area, is a proof that you don't look at it as a Mokum Tur. Mokum Tur means you can carry there. And I'm telling you, no, when it's flat, you cannot carry there, because that's why you needed a lechi to allow that area to be sort of separated off and then allowed you to carry. Typically, without that lechi, you would not be allowed to carry. Rava argued you would be allowed to carry. So we're proving from Rav that since you need that added little post to an already beautiful situation, is a right that, at the end of that situation, you cannot carry. By the Aleph, you cannot carry.
How are we looking at it as l'chaim though? They're just walls.
But it's super. I mean, it's a super lechi. It's a thick.
Out.
Are there any rules of how thick, big, deep a lechi could be?
But they're walls though. I mean, which are meant to enclose the mavui.
Right, exactly.
Let's say I took a big square thing and I nailed it to the wall of the mavi, which resulted in that. Would that be? Look at it like a thick. It's. I mean, on one hand, you're right. You're saying it's an extension of the wall, but the fact that it protrudes into the mavi, it allows it to serve as a.
Is to designate where does the mavui end and the rishus harabim start.
Huh.
And that's
Better
what
take
that
it.
does.
Yeah, it's Erev Yontif. You got to take it. So, okay. So, we'll tell you. Okay. So, fine. So we're good, right? So Abaye has got a solid proof. One more time. Let's read it again. Okay. Amar Abaye, Minan Mila. One more time. Amar Avrohom Amar Rav. V'tocha Pesach Tzorach Lechi Achla Tiro. Okay, maybe you're going to argue, you want to know why you need a lechi? Because that area is dalit by dalit. And if it's 4 amis by 4 amis, then that automatically will view it as its own independent place, and it needs a lechi because it's got a status of its own mavli. Right? Maybe that's the reason. Maybe Rav only said it when the significant place is so significant that it requires, right now you don't know the dimension, but let's say if those dimensions were 4 by 4 amis, or 4 amis deep, which by definition would mean it's its own mavui, then maybe that's why it needs a lechi. Right? So v'chitema is by dalid al dalid. Maybe you're going to tell me that it's a chosh of a place of its own to qualify it as its own mavui. Not true. Okay, Rav Chana back. We're still in the Gemara. Rav Chana barava amarav tocha pesach afish emadal al dal tzorch lechi achla tiro. Rav Chana barava said, in the name of Rav, don't make that mistake. Don't think for a second that I'm only limiting it to cases where dalid by dalid, where certainly at this point it has its own chashuva level of being its own mavi. Basically, you have a mavi coming out of a mavi. You have the mavi which is narrow, which is the wider one. Then you come to a narrow mavi, which has its own requirement of being fixed up with a lechi. So you see, when it's not dalid al dalid, so what's going on? Don't you? I've knocked you out, Rava. Now it's not the ultimate knockout blow because you technically could say Rav Yochanan argued with Rav, but why would you assume a machlokas Rav Yochanan against Rav if you didn't have to? I mean, it isn't like they never argued, but you never assume machlokasim unless it's a stated one. Okay, so Rava comes back with an incredible answer. Rava says, okay, I hear you, but Rav is not talking about all cases. Okay, Rav is only talking about a special case. Rava hosam the pasuach lekarmelis. You want to know why Rav says you cannot carry in that mavui, in that area? Because in the other side, is there no? Doesn't have a bigger, yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay, right, so what's on the other side? What's on the closer side of the mavui? When you leave the mavui, what are you hitting? Are you hitting Rosh Hashanah or are you hitting a Carmelis? So Rava is saying it depends. Okay, the case where you cannot carry is when the little opening that you have that requires a lechi. The reason why it requires a lechi is because when you leave, you're not leaving to Wilshire Boulevard. You're not leaving to Olympic. No.
Oh, what is it?
Well, you're leaving to a Carmelis. What's a Carmelis? You're leaving to what you call it, Sherman Oaks, Hazeltine Park. It opens to Hazeltine Park. It opens to an area that's not a public thoroughfare. Or I mean, it could be a nice little, even Albert Street is not a, whatever. It's probably not a Rosh Hashanah. It's not 16 amas, maybe certain parts, whatever. In other words, it's a non-busy, a non-Rosh Hashanah area.
That's true. Okay, I got
a
that.
place that's not surrounded and it's not a public thoroughfare is called a Carmelis. And in a,
Okay, so every one of these streets are really Carmelists, isn't it, right?
honestly, the only reason why we make an Erev is because we deem Valley Village and the entire valley to be a Carmelis. If the entire valley would be deemed to be Rishus Harabim, we wouldn't be able to make an Erev.
Yeah.
Because you can't make an Erev on Rishus Harabim Deraisa. We have to view it as a Carmelis.
So you can't make an area over a freeway, for example.
Right. Because the freeway is the ultimate Rishus Harabim. It's got 600,000 people.
I don't know, I heard one halachic shir that each individual car is you don't have 600,000 people together going down that freeway. Each car is a reshus unto itself.
Okay, well,
So there.
he needed to make some headlines, so he needed to give a share.
Maybe,
Okay.
but, it's an interesting concept that each car is its own reshus.
Did anybody paskin that way? Yeah, whatever. I mean, a lot of these shum are thought provoking.
You're literally off the
Michael, do
ground.
me a favor. Don't try that. Okay, you'll become very famous if you try that. Okay,
Your own reshus.
its own domain, so it doesn't have a status.
So you don't have 600,000 people going up and down the freeways. You know, you have two of the business
Oh, I
freeways
see
in the
what you
world.
mean.
Okay,
it
so-
erases that idea.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, but you see, a Carmelis pretty much is any street that we have is a Carmelis if it's not a busy street. Now, so 1 second. So what's going on here? So, but if you think what Rav just said, it's counterintuitive. Rav is saying, you want to know why it's usher to carry in that little area and why Rav needed a post to matter it? Because it was open to a Carmelis. What? So if it's open to a Rishus Harabim, it's better? That's what Rav seems to be saying. When it's open to a Carmelis, which is halachically always more lenient, that's when you're usher to carry. When it's Rishus Harabim, then you tell me it's mutter to carry. What kind of logic is that? Let's read it inside. Vrava hasam the pesach l'karmelis. It's there. The case where it's usher, it's open to a Carmelis. What? Al Rishus Harabim my shari, but it's open to Rishus Harabim would be mutter to carry in that little area. Yitziva ba'ara the garbishmei shemaya. Hate getting political, but this is an unbelievable statement that now resonates in such truth in America. So the expression goes what? The fancy people, the citizens are on the ground, and the aliens are up on top. But the aliens you treat an alien better than you treat your own citizens. What kind of logic is that?
Welcome to Los Angeles.
Exactly, Mamish. I said, wow. Okay, you learned this 10 years ago. You'd say it's a funny type of expression, but now you learn it now. You see, Mamish, see the irony of it. It's incredible. Shows you how upside down we are. So the point is that it's just the opposite, right? You don't have the alien on top, on the throne, and the citizen on the bottom being the lowly person. So same over here too. You're going to be more machmir by a Carmelis than you would by a Rishus Harabim. What kind of business is that? Mara says yes. Okay, motzah min asmino veneer. The answer is yes, because when you're a Carmelis, you find what you're connected to. And therefore you rejuvenate yourself when you find two similar places that could connect. Okay, let's see, and veneer, and it sort of gets rejuvenated. Let's take a look at Rashi. Okay, this is a very interesting concept. Let's see here, where are we? Second line of the water, Teicha Pesach, right? So Tocha Pesach, God Mavi Sheish Simen Ruchavin Lepischai. For example, if you have a Mavi that has very wide posts to its opening, Mikan from both sides. So it's like a U that's beginning to get closed in to become a full-fledged circle. And they serve, as the diagram shows, as a lechis, even though Ephraim didn't like it, but it's okay. You can serve it as a lechi. You need another lechi at the end of it. If you want to carry within those walls there, which are serving as a lechi, you need a lechi acher latiro. So, and maybe you want to argue this by arba, maybe there's 4 amis in the width of those protrusions, in the length of the mavi. Every time you hit that 4 amah threshold, that takes on the rishus of its own, the Carmelisi, and it's viewed as a Carmelis, Midrabanan asura, it would be asur midrabanan to carry there. Yeah, I mean, there was a sheet that says 4 tfachim, but I think it's 4 amas here. Okay, so not even 4 tfachim would be its own carmel, its own mavli, but I think we didn't hold that way at the end. Anyway, so yeah, so maybe you want to argue that the only time Rabbi Yochanan said you cannot carry is maybe when there's a significant area between those protrusions, and that's why it's usher. But it's not true, because I'll quote you a halacha, also in the name of Rav, that even when there's not 4 amis, you still can't carry this, so don't try to give me that answer. And so the Gemara answers, Rav says, you want to know the pshat? Because there, the place where it's usher is when it's open to a carmelist. L'karmelis l'bika. What's a carmel? It's like a bit like a field, like a park. Okay, the shaykh umitzar flaminoi shechutzaloi. A carmelist will be able to connect and combine with the next area which is similar to it, which is outside of it. Morris says, really? What kind of logic? Yitziva is Ezrachi. That's the citizen. So what? Yitziva Ba'ara Ugiyara B'Shmei Shemaya. The citizen is on the land, and you put the alien in the heavens. What kind of business? Morris says, yes, that is perfectly the business. Why? Because Matzah min esminoi. Matzah Carmelis Shebein Lechayim Shelo Haya Boshir Carmelis. The Carmelis area between the lechis, which didn't have the shear of a Carmelis, find a similar type of domain to connect to it. Rosh Hashanah is a superpower. Okay, it's Rosh Hashanah. It's its own halachic deraisa domain. Some little small fry like that area between the lechis is not going to come in and connect to a superpower. I have no shaykhs to you. I'm powerful, I'm great, and you're nothing. So you don't come. You can't connect. But if I'm a nothing and you're a nothing, 2 nothings combined to become a quasi something, or even there's still a bigger nothing. Okay, meaning. Let's see. Esminoi shechutzlo. It finds the min which is similar to it. Veneer. Nischazik aidei minoi. It becomes strengthened through its min. Veneer mishnasai. Shoya betchila. Okay, veneer mishinasai, and it becomes sort of rejuvenated from its deviation. Shoya betchila batel etzel shena minoi. It normally till now was batel to the area to the mavi. Right, you had a mavi, you had this area between the walls, and now you have a carmelis. So if it's a Rosh Hashanah, I don't touch you. I have no shaykhs to you. I'm my own domain, and I'm special, and you're not, and therefore get away from me. But if I'm a Carmelist and you're sort of a quasi-Carmelist, so I can suck you in and make you be me because you're sort of like me. You're sort of like in limbo, and I'm a Carmelist is sort of a quasi-rabbinic kind of state, and therefore we can connect to each other and become one. With the Gemara of B'chayros, we have a dogma like this, a parallel kind of case in B'chayros, Tumah Shabbatla, because of an era where Tumah became nullified and it became rejuvenated. But if it's open to Shusarab, Rashi says, Shlo Zeh Minoi V'la Zeh Minoi, where both are not, the inside part is Rosh Yachid, the outside part is Rosh Hashanah, right? The inside, the Mavi is surrounded, so the Mavi is all good to go. And it's like Rosh Yachid. That's why you can carry in there, right? And the outer part is Rosh Hashanah. So none of that little area is not similar in any way to either one of those 2 things, and therefore Batul Lakan Lakan becomes nullified in either way, and therefore, ironically, in that case, you could carry there because the Mokum Patur status doesn't change because it's got nothing to become Batul to. But if the Mokum Patur status has a Carmelis, it can become nullified into, that would be okay. I mean, not okay. That would happen, and because it would happen, ironically, it would then become Usr. Because I cannot carry from a Rosh Yachid into a Carmelis. And that little area becomes now as a status of a Carmelis. And he brings it over there in the bottom that, this has ramifications about going, if you have a key in a door, right, can you open, and the door opens out, and you're now moving the key into the doorway. Is the doorway, what is it? Obviously it depends on each situation, but if a doorway is opening into a Carmelis, then that doorway might have the status of a karmelis instead of a anything else, like a Rishus Yachid or something other than that, and might be problematic. Because the idea of moving a key out of a Rishus Yachid area is not so simple, even though it's maybe under overhang if it becomes bottled to a karmelis. Well, it depends. You have to look at each case. That's why you can't. It's something it's food for thought. It's just something to be sensitive to, and not something you can definitively say. All doorways are the same. Okay. So 1 second. Once we're okay. In Matzimah been a veneer. Okay. You know what? I think we're about to start. It's similar, but I think it's a good place to stop. We'll pick this up. There's a Shem on Wednesday morning.